Hello, welcome back to Tim's Trades, and this is just a brief video based on a request from one of my patrons to cover a derivatives exchange and some of the kind of terminology related to that, because people often are worried about trading derivatives or trading on leverage, let's call it that for simplicity, because they're worried for various things, and the terminology is a bit odd, and so in essence let's cover some of that today very briefly, and hopefully that will help some of you that might be getting interested. Not that I'm recommending it, it's very dangerous, all this leverage stuff, but it can be done safely if you take the time to learn, that is. Now, I assume that anyone's interested in this video is already aware of or had practice buying and selling cryptocurrencies on a normal spot exchange where you just buy and sell basically, and now they wanted to kind of take the next kind of step in their trading journey and kind of learn how to trade derivatives. So this is Bybit, just one of many different derivatives exchanges. I don't have any affiliation to Bybit, and in fact I haven't been using them for a long time, but I just decided to do this video on this. It's a brand new account. I chucked some cash across it earlier on today, and just for the purposes of this video. So first of all, we've got Bitcoin on here. The key difference between this and maybe buying and selling is you never actually own any of the assets. Your goal here is to simply increase the amount of cash you have in the form of USDT, because this is USDT perpetual. So you've got a bag of USDT, you will add that to your account. And when you're trading these, you never ever own them. You're just betting fundamentally on the direction of price, up or down. And that is it in a nutshell. All the other bits and bobs are, in essence, just different ways to trade and kind of will entail different trading strategies. So that in itself is hours and hours of video. This is just a brief introduction to what's going on and some of the terminology. So let me start over here on the right hand side and up here where it says cross. There's two different ways you can trade. One is in an isolated margin and one is cross. I never ever trade isolated. Basically, when you trade isolated, it's taking a small chunk of your capital. And some will say I'm silly because I'm risking all my bag, but I don't think so. I think that with isolated trading, what happens is they'll set a liquidation price which is very, very close to your entry. Now, that gives you much, much less room for maneuver when you're trading, and that'll become clearer, I hope, a bit later on in this video. So when I trade cross only. The only amount of money I add to my account is the money which I'm willing to trade or lose. So I then, if I'm successful, I take that money out and I buy assets with it which I own. All right, this is just a mechanism to make more cash fundamentally. All right, so my cross account is my isolated account because I've isolated exactly the amount of money I'm willing to kind of trade at any one time. All right, and so I use cross only, and that way I can control the liquidation price. Now, the liquidation price is simply the point at which you lose all the money in your account. So whether it's isolated or whether it's cross is irrelevant. You're going to, once you're isolated, you lose that cash. It's gone. All right, they take it from you fundamentally. Also, I only trade cross. That way, I can control the trade. I have much more room for maneuver. The next button here is your leverage. Now, I always trade on very high leverage, and people say, "Oh, you're crazy," but no, I'm not. And people misunderstand leverage. Leverage is simply a tool. It's a tool to allow you to have from 1 to, in this case, 100 times more money or potential money to place on that trade. All right. Now, that doesn't mean to say you add all in at 100x. That is utterly stupid. That means that if Bitcoin moved, in this case, 1% against me, I would be liquidated. So I would never do that. And so in essence, I might trade 1%, which is no different than trading spot. So if you've got $100 and you put your $100 on Bitcoin on spot, and I put, the value of $100 or 1%, then it's the same thing fundamentally. So I trade very, very small amounts of margin, but I can increase or decrease that as I'm going on. But by starting with 100, just gives me a lot of potential kind of room to trade with, a lot of potential. So that is why I do it. I don't go in all in, all right? And now on the previous iteration of this video, I made a small example of it. What I did was I added about $1,000 to this account, and I put in 0.01 Bitcoin, which cost me $7. I think was the margin I used. Now let's get into this. This is another random terminology. The margin is simply the amount of cash, here it is here, that I am placing on the bet. So I put in $7 on my $1,000 in this account as this current bet. But the actual value of the trade is $697 because we're 100x, all right? So I've put a very, very small amount of cash in, and but I'm actually trading $700 if you like. Now that gives me a liquidation price. Well, let me just remove these. In fact, let me just close these and we'll start again. This was a different iteration of these, just for, it was just for purposes of an illustration of a trade, so I wasn't worried about the wee bits of cash. So let's talk about margin again. Let's go back to where we were. So if I open a long 0.01% Bitcoin, that's going to cost me $7, and it's going to actually be a $700 trade basically. Now I'm market entering here. I assume you know what limiting market is if you're already trading, but a limit order is what I would typically always do. I decide on which way the market's going to go, and I place an order exactly where I want it to go. If my order's filled, fantastic. If it's not filled, then I look for the next trade. I don't just randomly continue trading, all right? So, but for the purposes of the video and to illustrate liquidation prices, etc., we're just going to market order straight in. It's a tiny little value, $7 trade anyway. So at this point here, I feel Bitcoin might come down. So let's open a short. So I'm just going to market order $7 worth of Bitcoin as a short. And here we go here. So now this is my trade set up. It's telling me various things: the value of the trade, my entry price, the mark price, which is slightly higher, and my liquidation price. Now this is the key thing. This is the point at which I lose all my cash. And so Bitcoin, as you can see, is going to have to go all the way up to $168,000 before I lose my $1,000 which I have in my account. All right. So we are currently betting on the price coming down. I think it might come down to about 868,400. Who knows? I'm not really bothered. This is just for purposes of showing you this thing. Now let's say that the price is going against you, and you don't necessarily need to or want to immediately take the hit on that. So one of the strategies I use is to go flat. So price is going up, it's pumping up, and I'm like, oh great, this my analysis was all wrong. I fucked up. I need to just chill out here. So there's one of two things you can do. You can take the hit, you can take the loss, or you can, which I like to do because I just don't like losing, is I go flat. Now I want to open exactly the same trade in the opposite direction. So we're going to open a long for exactly the same amount. Now that prevents me getting any further losses. You can see liquidation price is gone. All that's going to happen now is fundamentally I've closed my trade here. It's something a lot of traders do if they're in a position, and they're in profit, for example, or whatever, and they want to go to bed at night and sleep soundly. You just go flat, all right? And they wake up in the morning, you can reassess where you are. The money's not going up or down at the moment. I'm just sitting here and nothing is happening, all right? So that's just one way to control it. You can take the hit if it's going against you, or you can go flat, or, which is what I commonly do, is let's say I entered here, all right, and I knew that Bitcoin was going to get topped out here, so I went flat here. And then I close my short down here, and that opens me long again. So I'm maintaining this nice low entry, this buffer if you like. And this is where you might then increase the amount of margin. So let's say we got in profit here, all right? We went flat, we came back out, we sold our short here, and then not only did we reopen ourselves long, but we wanted to increase. We could add more. We can say, right, okay, I'm adding another. I'm going to double my bag here. I'm going to add another $7 of Bitcoin, and so I just go ahead and do that. Boom. In this case, I'm still short, but I've doubled my bag. I've now got $15 worth of Bitcoin in here, and because I think the price is going to continue higher from this period, and I can also close my short. So now I'm fully long, but I'm fully long with double my amount of cash. I guess I'm deviating away from the point of the video here. These are just some of the techniques I use, but it illustrates liquidation price and it illustrates leverage in the sense that you don't, just because you use high leverage doesn't mean to say you're super risky. You're not. You have to have a full understanding of what's going on in the background and how much actual percent kind of into the trade you are. In essence, how high is your risk? All right. Now, I would argue that by adding $7 when I've got $1,000 is not a risky trade, even at 100x. All right, and all it does is give me room for maneuver. So that's our ordering up here. You've gone through leverage. I just set it high. You can set it anywhere you like. This is just my personal preference, and I'm not necessarily suggesting you should do that. I think you should learn yourself and understand, you know. What else we've got going on down here? Obviously, open short. Short is just, it's just betting on the price going down. Long is betting on the price going up. Simple as that. That hedge mode I just showed you is called hedge mode, but it's allowing you to trade in both directions, and you can see it's set up here already. One way and hedge mode are both available, so it's just a mechanism to control your trade, if you like. And it's one you need to be sat in front of your computer for. I assume that when you're trading here, you're taking the time to sit and trade. You don't just place the bet and fuck off and do your job. You've got to be watching what's going on in the background when you're trading derivatives. It takes some time, and it takes look at it like a job. You don't have to be doing it every day, but if you come to a point where you think, okay, I've got some time, I've got a few hours today, I'm going to do my TA, and I'm going to get into a wee bit of leverage trading and add some cash to this. Alrighty, what else is there I need to cover? I think that's the kind of key basics. As I say, I wanted to keep this brief. I just wanted to be a video that maybe raised some questions before our one-to-one tomorrow, Lauren. Alright, so I hope that has done that and kind of covered some of the stuff that's going on. And I'll speak to you 3 o'clock tomorrow.